All right, this lesson is about simplifying rational expressions. What's a rational expression? Well, we got two parts, ratio, and we got expression. This means no equals. So we will not be solving. We won't end up with x equals, it's not going to happen. Irrational ratio means something over something. I picked the same one here. Now, what do we got to watch out for? Guy goes to the beach. Can he have nothing on top? Yes. Guy goes to the beach. Can you have nothing on the bottom? Let's hope not. So we can't have 0 on the bottom. Got to worry about that. So we call that the excluded values. And down here we have x plus 8 over 10x. So to find the excluded values is actually quite easy. Set the bottom equal to 0. Solve for the x variable. Say x equals 0. So that is the excluded value. And even though we say x equals 0, we're going to say x cannot equal 0. And that means it's an excluded value. Same thing here, 2y plus 14 equals 0. Solve for y. 2y equals 0. Y equals 0. So then we say y cannot equal 0. Now life just got a little more complicated. We don't worry about the top again, just the bottom. We cannot have 0 on the bottom. Factor, parentheses, spread that out a little bit better. X's, pluses, 2 and 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. Looks good to me. Negative 2. X equals negative 1. So the excluded values. X cannot equal negative 2 or negative 1. Last one's a little trickier. A couple ways to do it. We could factor it again. I think I'll do it the other way since we do not have a b value in our quadratic equation. Move the 9 over. X squared equals 9. Square root of both sides. We get x equals plus or minus 3. Don't forget your plus or minus. And again, that's an excluded value. X cannot equal 3 or negative 3. Now, that's just the first step in these problems. Today, we're not going to actually be solving anything, but we have to say, what can the answer not be? So if we find the answer equals, for example, over here, 3 or negative 3, we'd have to toss that answer out because it's an excluded value. It would set the denominator to 0, and it's going to blow up our calculator. So, how do we simplify? Well, before we simplify, let's find our excluded values. 2r, and let's start putting it as cannot equal 0. So r cannot equal 0, so that's our excluded value. Assuming r cannot equal 0, we say these will cancel, and we'll end up with 1/2. That's simplified, but we got also right, and r cannot equal 0. Here, we say that x plus 2 cannot equal 0. Subtract 2. X cannot equal negative 2. That's our excluded value. If we simplify this, the only thing we can really take out are the 5s. So we get x over x plus 2, and then we write x cannot equal negative 2. Over here, it doesn't look like anything cancels. Well, actually, let's do our excluded value first. We're going to do excluded value down here. 18x squared cannot equal 0. X squared cannot equal 0. X cannot equal 0. We don't need the plus or minus because it's just 0. This one we actually have to factor the top, so we can pull a 6x squared out of the top. And that's this piece here and this piece here. We pull a 6x squared out, we get an x minus 2. And over that is 18x squared. Well, we can do a little reducing. 6 goes to 1, 18 goes to 3, x squared cancels. We get x minus 2 over 3. X cannot equal 0. And you might say, but x can equal 0. Why not? I know this whole excluded value, just set the bottom equal to 0. That's easy, but I don't get it. Well, this is reduced, but this is the actual function. So if we actually put the number in there, it wouldn't work. This one, we would find the excluded value first. Y minus 9 cannot equal 0. Y cannot equal 9. And looking at this doesn't reduce. So that's it. Y over y minus 9, y cannot equal 9. Simple enough. A little bit of factoring there caused some problems with certain people in our class. Not going to mention any names. Well, maybe later. And of course, things get more complex, but it's the same problem. Can we reduce? Don't forget, you got to find your excluded values. So let's do excluded values over here. And then we will try and reduce over on the side. X squared plus 6x plus 8 cannot equal 0. Looks like something I'd want to factor. Xx plus plus 4 times 2 is 8. 4 plus 2 is 6. Cannot equal 0. X cannot equal -4 or -2. So that's our excluded values. And looks like we can factor the top two. Already factored the bottom. X plus 4, x plus 2, x, it's negative, negative, so we're going to go minus, plus, 5, 2, seems like it'll work. -5 times 2 is -10, -5 plus 2 is -3. Oh, look at that, we can cancel this. We get x minus 5 over x plus 4. X does not equal -4, -2. That's our final answer. I don't like that. Let's put it back there where it belongs. X does not equal -4 or -2. I'm going to turn this problem around. I'm going to factor top and bottom. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. And your evil math teacher probably won't give you a problem that isn't reducible, but he might. So we got x plus 5 times x plus 2. So let's do our excluded values now that we've factored the bottom, so we don't have to do it twice. I don't know why I keep writing W's when I mean to write V's. Must be because I hate working things, but whatever. So x plus 5, x plus 2 cannot equal 0. X cannot equal -5 or -2. There's our excluded values. Back up to the problem. Looks like the x plus 2's cancel, so here we go. X plus 1 over x plus 5. If you want to put in your parentheses, you can. I don't, so I get rid of them. Save myself some time. And I put a comma. X cannot equal -5 or -2. A little time consuming, bit tricky, not too bad. Gotta know your factoring, but again, if that's a problem, well, we'll review as soon as we can. Last problem, of course there's a twist, a little trick to watch out for. They call it recognizing opposites. It's not too hard. Let's factor first and then do excluded values. Parentheses, x minus, looks like 6 and 2 doesn't work. How about 4 and 3? -4 times -3 is +12. -4 plus -3 is -7. And on the bottom, this looks like a 4 plus x, 4 minus x. Boy, sure looks like these two, I need to go with a highlighter here, are awfully close to canceling each other out. Nope, don't know where the highlighter is. So I will just put a yellow around it. This one and this one looks like they want to cancel each other out, but they're not the same. So they're opposites. How do we change opposites? Well, doesn't matter which one. We take a negative out. I'm going to recommend taking out the negative on the top. Actually, I forgot to finish off the problem, so let's do excluded values first. Lordy, lordy. 4 plus x times 4 minus x cannot equal 0. X cannot equal -4 or 4. Back up here, I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to take it out of the top one. Negative 1 comes out, which means the x becomes negative x. The negative 4 becomes positive 4. And I'm going to rewrite it. Negative 1 times 4 minus x times x minus 3. 4 plus x. 4 minus x. It's a beautiful thing. They cancel. I get negative. I'll put a 1 out front. You don't have to. X minus 3 over 4 plus x. X does not equal negative 4 or 4. And one more. Shockingly enough, we'll see a opposite in here. I'm guessing we've got 5. This one's turned around. I should take the negative out first. It's not the way you want it. Take the negative out first. So we'll put a negative 1 there. And that'll give me negative 5 minus 4y plus y squared. On the bottom, I've already factored this one before. Y minus 5, y plus 2. And let's fix the top. Negative 1 times y squared minus 4y minus 5 over y minus 5, y plus 2. Let's factor the top. Negative 1 times y minus 5 times y plus 1. Hey, I don't have to change it to opposites. It's because I took the minus out originally, which you can do. Cancel these, and I get negative y plus 1 over y plus 2. Notice I never did the extraneous values. Well, that's because I've done it so much, I think I can do it on the fly. Y can equal 5 or negative 2. And that came right out of either this step or this step here. So I just do it on the fly, save myself some time. That's it. Happy mathing.